record. We're going to record this as well, because this is going to be something that we'll be able to share with other people that may not have had the opportunity to join us this evening. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce to some, present to others, Miss Debra. God bless you. You have the floor, young lady.
God bless you. God bless you, Pastor Scott. To God be the glory for the wonderful things that he has done and he's continuing to do on today. I'm excited. I don't know about anybody else, but when I get an opportunity to talk about something that I know is my God-given assignment and purpose, I get excited about it and I have a passion about it. So thank you. Thank you to Pastor Scott and the lovely Lady Scott, and to the entire Word and Worship Church family. Thank you. I just can't stop saying thank you enough. You get it. You get it. You see the need. You see the need. And now you are becoming the answer to the need. My name again is Debra McKinney. I have been married for 20, oh Lord, my husband he's gonna get me if I don't get this number right, because he's smiling at me now. We have been married for 25 years. We are a blended family. We have 4 children. Shalea, she's a coach, and she's a coach out there at Southwood High in your neck of the woods, Pastor Scott. Our son, Quincy, he's 26 years old. He works for the government. Our daughter, Ashley, who's 21 years old. She's a junior at the world famed Grambling State University. And we also have little Jeremiah, who's 11 years old. He is a 6th grader at Brame Junior High here in Alexandria, Louisiana. My background reaches of 20 plus years. That's where it all began, in the banking industry. In the banking industry. Sometimes you just don't realize the plan that God has for you, because my plan was to stay there for the rest of my life. My plan was to retire there. I was the vice president of retail banking at the downtown center of Red River Bank. I do believe that you all are much aware of Red River Bank, because I do believe they have a lot of branches in the Shreveport area. But we were known as one of the fastest, largest banks in central Louisiana. So I do give honor for the beginning. But God had a plan. And little did I know the path that I was going to take. Was that path good? Was it easy? Was it hard? Was it confusing? Did I have some doubt? Did I have a little faith? All of that, and then some. But that time has prepared me for this time right here on this evening. And tonight we are going to talk about financial wholeness. We want to concentrate on all the aspects of your financial life. We want to make sure that all the aspects of your financial life is working together, because it has to be balanced. It cannot be incomplete. It cannot be unsettling. In order for you people of God, in order for you to reap all the benefits of financial wholeness, it has to be balanced. So tonight we are going to focus on a few of those areas. But before I begin, let me just say this. Have you ever heard anybody say, I lost my husband suddenly? He was a young man. I wasn't expecting to lose my husband at such a young age. He took care of all of the household affairs. I didn't have to worry about paying a bill. But when I lost my husband, I had to take the responsibility of taking care of the household. But little did I know my husband didn't have life insurance. Or have you ever heard of a mother saying, I lost my 17-year-old suddenly to gun violence? I didn't think that I needed life insurance for my child at 17 years old. I thought that they were going to have a long life, a good life. But unexpected things happen. Or what about? I didn't think he was going to leave me. I didn't think he was going to divorce me. I was a good wife. I thought I did everything I was supposed to do. I prayed for him. I cooked for him. I cleaned for him. And he still divorced me. What am I supposed to do now? How am I supposed to take care of our children? I didn't have to work. See, these are things that could possibly come up in your life. I call them the what ifs. And see, in life, you have to prepare yourself, not only just for the present, but you also have to prepare yourself for the future. So tonight, we're gonna focus on one area in particular, and that area is savings. Our mission, let me go back to our mission. Our mission basically is to provide solutions. I want to provide solutions that's going to change your financial position that will result in you having a better quality of life. I do have my own business. The name of my business is HLB Financial Solutions. I am a financial coach. Some people call me a financial freedom empowerment coach because I do financial freedom every Friday. And my assignment is to feed the people. Feed the people what thus said the Lord. See, the thing is, God has bestowed upon you a resource. And when you look at that resource, you're probably looking at it saying, it's not enough. But it's just enough for you. It's just enough for you right now. And the three things that you have to learn how to master and to specialize in when you are utilizing God's resource, which is money. You have to learn how to make the money. You have to learn how to manage the money. And you have to learn how to multiply the money. So what is one way that we can make our money become more valuable, increase it, enlarge it? We can save it. We're so quick to spend it, but the main thing is we have to learn how to save our money. And what is savings? Basically, savings is when we're going to put the money back for future use. Those future uses will be for the what ifs, which I am going to discuss with you a little bit further along the way. But the best way for you to value your money is basically to not only save it, but to multiply it. Multiplying means to increase it in large quantities. Now, when we talk about the things that we are saving for, there are a lot of things that could come up, a lot of unexpected things that could happen. You can have debt. And nowadays, you have more young people dying than the older people. The older people are outliving the young people. So, and what grieves my heart, is the fact that when the death comes, and unfortunately, the family has no life insurance, which we will speak about later on. It grieves my heart when they have to do what they have to do in order to make funeral arrangements for their loved ones. But this is why this seminar is going on. This is why your leader, Pastor Scott, has chose this seminar of financial wholeness. It's to prepare you. It's to prepare you for the future. So we have to prepare for death. You can prepare for death by putting money back. You have to prepare for termination of jobs. Termination of jobs. You also have to prepare yourself for disability. What if you get into an accident unexpectedly and you are no longer able to go back to work? What that means is my income is not the same. My income may decrease. Most likely it will increase, which means my livelihood may take a shift. But if I want to ensure that my livelihood stays the same, I need to make sure that I have funds put away for the what ifs. The next what if is a retirement. No one wants to work all their life. I know I do not. I'm preparing for it right now. So in order to ensure that I live the life that I'm normally accustomed to, I have to make sure that I save and put money back for my retirement. Big purchases. We will all come in a time where we are going to make big purchases. Sometimes you have to put up what is called capital in the banking industry, which means I may have to dip into my savings account to contribute to me purchasing this big purchase. Not only that, you're preparing for the what ifs. If divorce happens, if small unexpected expenses happen. I just had a big one just happen in my household. My hot water heater just went out. But to God be the glory for us being prepared in advance. I don't want to have to go down the street and get in more debt or unnecessary debt. My goal is to make sure that I keep my money to prepare for unexpected things that may break down. What about my car? What about my tires on my car? What about the engine? Unexpected things can happen to you in your life. A lot of people don't look at that. They say, I live for today. Okay, so you get up the next day. What's going to happen? You're here another day. What's going to happen? You have to make sure that you have funds put aside so it does not put you in a financial hardship. Medical bills are definitely one. In the medical world, sometimes your insurance may only pay up to 80%, and you have to pay the other 20%. You have to make sure that you include these what ifs in your budget. And that is something that we're going to talk about later on. Now, there are different types of savings accounts that you should definitely establish. 3 of them, I say. I call it an emergency savings, which we just talked about the different types of emergencies that may come up. I talked about a household savings. The household savings is what if, and I'll put it to you like this. Me and my husband, we're married. I have my income, he has his income. But what if something happens and my husband loses his job? In order to keep our house sustained, as far as us meeting our expenses to keep this house in order, it takes both incomes. So if I don't have a household savings account established and my husband loses his job, that's going to put me in a bad position. It's going to put me in a financial strain. Now, a retirement savings account, we're going to talk about that more in depth when we talk about when we're talking about the retirement savings accounts, because there are two major ones. You have your IRAs. The IRAs are individual retirement accounts. You have two types. You have the traditional IRA and you have the Roth IRA. Now, I guess some people say, well, how much, Miss Debra, should I put into these accounts? How much should I put into these accounts? Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. If you, and it depends, and let me just say this. This is a process. This is a process. When you are young, I recommend that you start saving as soon as you get a job, because you don't really have any responsibilities when you are young. So it's very easy for you to stack up your money now because you don't have much expenses. But as you continue to grow, maybe you're going to school to position yourself for a better job, which will put you in a better position as far as higher income. When you get to that level, I would definitely recommend that you at least a minimum 15% put towards that to your retirement. Now, let me just talk about that for a second when it says 10 to 15%. With these retirement accounts, these are pretty much employee sponsored accounts. There's a difference. You have the 401ks and you have the IRAs. The 401ks are sponsored by your employer. They allow you to contribute so much money into this pension plan, into this savings plan. And they will also, some of them will also match what you are giving, which means they'll tell you something like this. We will match up to 5%, which means if you decide to contribute 5% of your income to retirement, that's already 10% right there, because they're going to meet it. Now your other 5%, you could put that in a savings account. Or if you want to do the whole 15%, you could contribute up to 10% of your income, and they will meet the 5. Now, let me just say this, not every employee does that. You have to ask questions. Just don't say yes, okay, and you're not understanding your retirement. You need to be aware of your money, of all your dollars and your cents and where they are going. I am big on asking questions. I don't care what position you are in. I want to make sure I have a clear understanding before I leave this desk, before I sign my name on the dotted line. Because I have a certain goal for my retirement. I have a certain goal for my retirement. That is because I see a financial advisor. A financial advisor is basically a person that's pretty much are going to help you choose. They're going to help you choose your accounts. They're going to help you budget, and they're going to help you reach your goal. But the one thing about those financial advisors, pretty much they're focused on you contributing your money into stocks, into mutual funds, into annuities. Now, this is another area of retirements. If you choose to do this, when it comes to a stock, when you contribute to a stock, when you purchase a stock, basically you are becoming an owner of a corporation. You have part ownership of a corporation, which means you have access to the profits. So if this particular corporation that you chose to purchase maybe 2 shares, maybe you decided to purchase 2 shares, and pretty much their performance this year was through the roof, you are going to benefit from that because there is a certain return that's going to come back and be added with your money that you originally contributed to that. It is all about compound interest. It is all about longevity. A lot of people want their money now. No, you have to be patient. You have to be patient, but you have to make sure that you are saving your money. You are preparing for your retirement. And in your household account, I always recommend at least 3 to 6 months, or even a minimum of three months. A lot of people say, well, I don't think that's easy to do. If you can do maybe a couple of months, try to do the best that you can to build up your household savings. Pretty much what I am looking at, the factor is giving you time to get back on your feet, to get more income so you can contribute back into the household account. Because if something happens to where your income is affected due to a disability, due to a death, due to a divorce, and you don't have anything already established in that household account, you're going to be in trouble. Which means you're going to have to try to figure out, how do I get more money? And you're probably not ready yet due to the circumstances that you're currently in. That may be affecting your mind state. You may need time. You may need time to heal from whatever. It could have been tragedy, like I said. It could have been a divorce. It could have been a car wreck. Whatever the situation is, you need time to heal. So by you having the household account, it gives you the time that you need versus jumping back into the corporate world or jumping back into employment. Our emergency fund, I would only say you probably need $1,000. No more than $1,000. No more than $1,000. I do believe I talked briefly already about how do we multiply our money. We multiply our money again through our 401ks, our IRAs, which is our Roth, and our traditional. And let me just give you the differences between the Roth and the traditional. It's either you want to pay taxes now or you want to pay taxes later. Because with the individual retirement account, that's what it stands for. That's what the IRA stands for. Individual retirement account basically is whether you want to pay taxes now or whether you want to pay taxes later. Pretty much when you withdraw money out of your traditional IRA, you will have to pay taxes on that. But you can use your contribution to a traditional IRA as a tax deduction. Versus in a Roth IRA, that's just free money if you withdraw it out. But the retirement age to be able to withdraw funds out of those IRAs is 59 and a half. Now, when it is pretty much your employer sponsored IRAs, they are just a little bit different. The contribution pretty much is a lot more than what it is for a regular individual IRA. And I'll just give you an example. The contribution limit for the individual IRA is basically $6,000. $6,000. They have a catch-up. They also have a catch-up contribution. If you're over the age of 50, you can contribute another additional $1,000. versus if it's an employee sponsored IRA, basically your contribution is up to 20,500. And your catch up basically is 6,500. That's a huge difference. And that is because of the fact that one is an employee sponsored IRA and the other one is an individual retirement, is an individual sponsored one. Now you do have mutual funds. Now, when it comes to mutual funds are exactly what it says, mutual. That means two or more. All your eggs are not in one basket. All your eggs are not in one basket. Basically, you will pretty much have ownership of multiple companies versus if you have just one stock, you have one company that you are an owner of. So I like mutual funds because of the simple fact, what would be the I guess to me, it'd be more riskier to go with just one stock versus mutual fund, because all the businesses are not going to fold or cave in at the same time. Versus with that one stock, you have that one company, and if that company folds, your money is gone. Now you have certificate deposits, you have money market accounts, and you have regular savings accounts. Let me just mention those three. Those three are usually offered by your banks, and they're offered by your credit unions. These are pretty much low in interest. They're pretty much low in interest, but the thing is, you have access to them. You can gain access to them immediately. Now, with the certificate of deposit, it depends on what term. You can have a term from 1 month up to 10 years. But if you choose, if you have an issue where you have to gain access into that particular certificate of deposit, you're going to be penalized. And that is another thing when you are setting up your retirement, know the retirement age, know the penalties, know whether or not, okay, let's say I'm a first-time home buyer. Can I go back and use my retirement? Most likely you can. If it's an IRA, you can. Those penalties will be waived if you need to utilize your funds from an IRA for a first-time home buyer. If the primary owner is deceased and the beneficiary needs to get into there, if I do believe it's for education, you can use that as one of the excuses as well, and you will not be penalized. But other than that, those options are not being applied, and you need to go in and withdraw money out of that retirement, and you are not of the retirement age. Yes, Uncle Sam is coming for you. Definitely, Uncle Sam is coming. So let's go to life insurance. Life insurance is another area, another aspect of your financial life. As I was focusing on, as I was having a conversation with somebody else about life insurance, they was like, Debra, what is life insurance? What is it? Why is it so important for us to have life insurance? That's a good question. But let me tell you what it is first. Basically, it's a contract. It's a contract between the policyholder and the insurance company. Basically, they are going to pay a specific sum if the owner is upon the owner's death. They pay a specific sum upon the owner's death. It is very important for you to get life insurance. The purpose of life insurance is to cover your funeral costs. The purpose of life insurance is to help you meet any type of other obligations outside of the funeral. The purpose of life insurance is also to take care of any outstanding debts that the deceased had. Also, the purpose for life insurance It's, let's say you want to find, you may want to finance your education or your child's education. It's also to protect a spouse's retirement plan. And a lot of people would always say, well, how much should I get? How much should I get? Your insurance agent is pretty much going to ask you pretty much what type of lifestyle you want to live. So I am looking at the fact of me and my husband. We have our 4 children. I am accustomed to a certain lifestyle. So with that insurance, if something were to happen to him, we want to make sure I don't worry about the house. I don't have to worry about maybe his expenses that he has. I don't have to worry about none of that. If he passes away, I may not be ready to go back to work. So I may need some time. So I have to look at that. We want to make sure that possibly his truck is paid off, anything that he had. I want to make sure that I don't have to worry about a thing. Plus, I want enough left over to carry me to be able to provide for our 11-year-old. Because we have an 11-year-old. And he participates in extracurricular activities. He wants to do this. He wants to go to college. That costs money. So when you're looking at a life insurance, don't just look at the fact that I just need a life insurance just to cover, just to bury that person. If you're married, you're going to look at it a little bit more. But if you're an individual, yes, you're going to look at the fact of just enough just to cover me as far as burying me. But if you are married, you're looking at it a little bit more. Your policy is going to be a little bit more because you have a lot more obligations. And even if you're not married, if you have a home, if you have a car and you set up your life insurance, of course, you're probably going to most likely put the most responsible child as the beneficiary to make sure that he or she takes care of all those obligations. Another aspect of your financial life is estate planning. It's estate planning. You have to make sure you get your affairs in order. If you have an account, make sure you have that account set up payable on death to somebody. Or make sure you have a joint owner on the account just in case you end up being sick and someone can come in and take care of your household expenses. Someone that's trustworthy, of course, and that's not going to steal from you. The banks have what is called Fdic insurance. It is up to $250,000. What does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean that they are going to give us $250,000? No. What that means is that they are going to cover. They're going to cover your money. They're going to insure your money up to $250,000. But there is a way around that where actually the bank could cover even more than that. And that is when you utilize your beneficiaries. So let's say I have an account that has $100,000. I have another account that has $50,000. And I have another account, let's say, that has $20,000. And we have 3 kids. I'm probably going to set up those accounts payable on death to every last one of them. And guess what? Because the bank said that they're going to cover me, I'm going to be insured up to $250,000 on each account. What they're looking at are the beneficiaries. So guess what? If I have 3 beneficiaries on there, they're going to cover my money up to $750,000. That means if I have up to $750,000 in that bank, and that bank burns down or that bank goes under, they are still going to give me my $750,000 because my accounts was set up, how my accounts were set up. A lot of people don't realize this. A lot of people don't realize this. Make sure your estate planning is in place. Make sure that, you know, I want to make this statement too about power of attorneys, because I see where a lot of people like to use power of attorneys. I want to make you aware, power of attorney has no power when they're deceased. It ceased at death. You know, so you have to, when you're going to the bank and you're setting these up, because there's so much fraud out there. There's so much, a lot of people are taking advantages of our elderly, and it's within their own families. Pretty much it's what we see, what they see is that is within their own families. You have to make sure that mom and dad are taken care of. I know when my dad found out that he had pancreatic cancer and I was in the banking industry, he had come to me and he had shared with me, and we kind of found out in a quick way because it happened so quickly. You know, when we found out, I think 6 months later, he had passed away. But when he had come and he shared with us, you know, what was going on with his health, I immediately went into action. It's like none of us really did not mourn until probably afterwards, because we all had a role to play. He had 5 girls and we all had a role to play. And I was the one that was in finances. So he came to me and he was like, Debbie, these are all my life insurance. You know, I have it, you know, set up, you know, with your mom as being the beneficiary, you know, and I made sure with all of his accounts were set up as far as mom and dad. They wasn't just my dad, because even when I was doing all the reviews of all of his accounts, the reviews of all of his insurance, you know, I felt like he didn't have enough. So I'm glad I already had my own insurance, which we gave to our mom, because we wanted to make sure that our mom was taken care of. We were not only going to make sure our dad was put away nicely, but we were also going to make sure that our mom was taken care of. My dad, he wasn't the best with money, and he admitted that. My dad was the spender, but my mom was the saver. But the one thing about the provider, he knew where to come. He knew where to come, and he had come to me, and he wanted to make sure that I knew where all of his documents were. He pretty much gave them to me, and I put them in a safe deposit box. And pretty much when the day had come and he had passed away, to God be the glory for the favor of having relationships with insurance agents. And usually you have to wait for a certain period of time. I didn't have to wait no time. I didn't have to wait no time. The paperwork was done immediately. The check was done immediately. And I know that's not going to happen with everybody. I understand that. But what my whole thing is with this is make sure you have your affairs in order. If you need a will, seek counsel for this stuff. Seek counsel. Because if you have a huge net worth, most likely you will need a will. And a will pretty much tells us exactly what your last wishes are, how you want your affairs to be carried out, how you want pretty much what you wish as far as how your affairs to be carried out. Now, whoever, you know, when you have that will, of course, it's going to have to go through a succession, which means you're going to have an administrator pretty much over that. That administrator pretty much carries out the full instructions of the will, making sure all the debts are being paid, make sure all the property is being accounted for, and then you start distributing. It's going to go through probate. After all of that's done, then it goes through probate and you start cutting everybody's check. So make sure you have your estate planning in order. Now, with the type of insurances, there's usually 2 common types, and there's the term and pretty much the whole. The difference between these is basically what it says. The term provides coverage for a certain period of time. And it could be 10 years, it could be 15 years, 20 years, or 30 years. That's the term. But I'm going to tell you right now, the term is usually the most affordable. Now, the whole life covers your entire life. That means you don't have a certain term. It's for your whole entire life. But I'm gonna tell you that one is usually a little bit more expensive. But the thing about the whole life is that it can carry a cash value. You can ask your insurance agent if it carries a cash value. That means that particular value, let's say you get $100,000 life insurance, that particular $100,000 life insurance is accruing interest. It's growing. So it's just not sitting there versus the term. If you get a $10,000 life insurance, that's exactly what it is. It's a $10,000 life insurance, no more, no less. Now, the number one question is, how much does all this cost? How much does it cost? I want you to take a look, because the only thing we can do is, the only people we can judge is ourselves. So take a look at your own bank statement. Just take a look at it. Track your spending. Look at how much you spend a month, maybe going out to eat, maybe to Starbucks. I know I had to cut down on the Starbucks. But I promise you, the amount of money that you spend constantly on going out to eat per month, you can afford a life insurance. So make sure that that particular area of your financial life is established and in place. Not only your savings, where you have your emergency savings, where you have your retirement savings, where you have your household savings, but also make sure your estate planning is in order. This is the one I've been waiting for. Credit. Who needs money? Sooner or later, there will come a time where you will need to borrow money. I've heard all kinds of things from customers where they've said, Ms. Debra, I've gone to the bank, but they didn't approve me. They used some words about excessive obligation. They said something about my income was insufficient to the amount that I made. They said that I had they said that I had derogatory information. What does that mean? What does all of this mean? Ladies and gentlemen, in the financial world, credit has power. I'm just going to tell you. This is one area of your life you have got to make sure that you are in a good position. So first, let's talk about it. What is credit? If I go and I want to borrow money from someone and we set up the terms and agreement with the promise of me making future repayments, I'm establishing credit. What is a credit score? Because see, a lot of people are credit score driven. A lot of lenders are credit score driven. But a lot of lenders are also going to do a credit report analysis, which means they are going to look in depth and review your credit report. They're not just going to look at your score. They're going to look at all the items in your credit. But let's talk about this credit score for a second. That credit score is a numerical representation of an individual's credit worthiness. Let me tell you, because when I was in the banking industry, I made a mini loans. I approved a mini loans. I declined a mini loans. That credit score to a lender, to the role of a lender, is going to tell them whether you're dependable, whether you're reliable, whether you are trustworthy. And I'm going to tell you to put your own lender caps on. Put your own lender caps on. Because I'm quite sure you've had people to ask you to borrow money. What are your criteria for that person coming to borrow money? What are you going to look at? I'm going to check out their behaviors. Because see, their behaviors are going to tell me whether they paid their bills on time. But guess what? I've been in the shoes where my credit wasn't even good. And I consider myself a good person. So guess what? Bad things happen to good people every single day. But you still have to have the responsibility of the consumer of going back and making your wrong right. Making your wrong right. So with this credit score, as you can see, you see the ranges. Your ranges are anywhere between 300 all the way up to excellent, which is 800. Now, if you are in the good area, your interest rates probably not that. Your interest rates are very low. I can tell you that now as a former lender. If you're in the good area, which your credit score is probably 749 or 700 to probably 800, yeah, you're in the lowest credit score area. Now, fair, you're more than fair. You're more than fair. If you are poor, it's time to work. It's time to work. It's time to go back and make your wrong right. So let's look at what goes into a credit scoring, what goes into the credit score. There are a lot of factors. And let me just say this. Pretty much 80% of the banks, of the credit unions, they look at the FICO credit scoring module. You have Vantage and you have FICO. FICO is the main one. If you want to monitor, if you want to keep a track of your credit score, a lot of people ask me, where do you go, Ms. Debra? myfico.com. Will it cost you? Yes. You will have different options. And I'm gonna tell you this. I recommend you doing the $39.99 because it gives you all three. It gives you all three of the credit reports with the credit scores. But I am going to tell you that is the main site. That is the most accurate site as far as equivalency, as far as the credit score equivalency to what it is when you walk into a bank and you fill out an application and they pull your credit. It's going to equal the same thing. I'm not going to knock Credit Sesame. I'm not going to knock Credit Karma, but I will not look at their credit score. The only thing I like about Credit Karma, about Credit Sesame, is the fact that they kind of keep up with your credit monitoring. Don't look at the score. The scores are way off. They're inaccurate. Don't look at them. Look at your information and see if your information changes. But the factors that go into a credit score is very, 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 this won't ever change. This is not changing. 35% of your credit score is determined by whether or not you pay the debt on time. And let me just also make this announcement. With the student loans, our President Biden, he's definitely going to extend it and put a pause on repaying those student loans, I think, again, until August. It was up until May, but he's about to extend it until August. So all of you with student loans, I'm one of them. All of you with student loans, he's going to put a pause on you repaying that up until August. Now, another thing that has changed with the credit as well are medical payments. Medical payments. The Consumer Finance Protection Bureau has taken a stand, and I'm so glad that they have, with these medical bills. If your medical bills are paid, most likely you're going to be seeing them being taken off your credit report starting in July. If they're probably no more than maybe, I'm not sure of the amount, but I want to guess and say it's about 500, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. They're not going to report them. And I'm glad they're not, because usually when it comes to these medical collections, 9 times out of 10, it's because of the insurance company. The insurance company probably has paid the bill later, but they've already reported it to the credit bureau. So I'm so glad the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau is now taking a stand with them. And if they're paid, they're taking them off your credit report. If they're paid, that's what I've been told. But getting back to what the factors are that go into your credit score is 35% of your credit score is determined by whether or not you pay the bill on time. 30% of your credit score is determined by your utilization of credit. What does that mean? What does that mean? Well, if you have a credit card, and let's say we have $1,000 credit card limit. We have $1,000 credit card limit. They only want you to owe no more than $300. That's 30% of 1,000. I say no. I say no. Don't owe no more than probably 10%, 10, 15%, 10, 15%. I try to owe nothing. Because why are you continuing to give that credit card company more money? You got power and you got authority over your money. This is what I continue to encourage my financial freedom listeners, is they have to learn that they have power and authority over their finances. Who makes the decision about your finances? Who's making the money? You. Who's telling the money where to go? You. So who's going to have the final say? You are. You are. If you don't like the way that your money is changing, if you want to be able to live a life you've never had before, you're going to have to do some things you've never done before, which means you're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to discipline yourself. You're going to have to focus. You're going to have to make sacrifices. A lot of people want to laugh at my husband because my husband, I consider him a country man. I love the country man, but he's a country man. He don't wear all the name brands. Although when we go out, his wife is going to dress him now. But he don't spend his money on clothes or anything. My husband is just a regular conservative man, even with his vehicle. And people want to make fun of that. People want to talk down about him. But little do they know. They have no clue. They have no clue of what his financial portfolio looks like. And I can tell you this, I have seen a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people financial statements. I've seen a lot of people credit reports. I've seen a lot of people as far as what they make and the image that they present to you is totally different. That's why I say walk in your truth, speak in your truth. Be who God made you to be. But when it comes to your credit score, if you control paying your bills on time and control utilizing your credit, there's no reason why you can't have a 700 plus credit score. Because the other small percentages are pretty much the length of your credit history. Don't ever close out any accounts, because if you close them out, it's going to hurt you, especially the credit cards. New credit, it only accounts for 10%. The types of credit used, that only accounts for 10%. They want you to be able to utilize at least 3 areas, which is mortgages, your installment loans, and your credit cards. If you have that mixture, then you should be okay. You should have a certain balance. Okay, how does lenders make decisions? Okay, this is very important. This is very important. I want you to understand how a lender makes a decision. The main thing is repayment ability. Can we get our money back? See, they're not looking at the what ifs that may happen to you. That don't phase them. That's not what they need to look at. If you have something to happen back, that doesn't concern them. They want to know if they can get their money back. So pretty much they're gonna look at where you work at, how long you've been working there. They want to make sure you hop around. They want to make sure you're consistent. They want to make sure you're stable. They're going to look at your credit because they want to see how well have you paid other people. Have you lived up to the terms and agreements that you agreed to? Are you a man? Are you a woman of your word? They're also going to look at your collateral. Collateral is not much, not unless they're looking at something like a house or real estate. Real estate is a big collateral. Cars, no, they depreciate as soon as you drive them off the car lot. That's not a big deal to them. But another thing I forgot to put on here is capital. Because I want you to get this capital. I want you to get this capital. Capital pretty much, let's say you are looking to possibly purchase some rental property, purchase rental property. And let's say to purchase this rental property, it's going to cost you maybe $300,000. Well, they're going to pull your credit. They're going to see what kind of score you got. They're going to see what kind of history you have, how long you've been having this credit. They're going to check out your income. They're going to make sure your revenue and your cash flow is pretty strong. That's about 25%. That's another, the repayment ability, I would say, is 50%. The credit is 25%. The capital, if you are trying to buy really big things, let's say apartments, other big items, property, a lot of these banks are going to ask you for capital, which means they're probably going to request anything between 10 to 20% of capital, which means if you are purchasing an item for $300,000, they are going to expect you to have capital of $6,000. No, that's not right. Hold on. $60,000. I'm sorry. $60,000. That's 20%. $60,000 of capital. And the next thing they're going to look at is debt ratio. The debt ratio determines how much of a risk is this person? How much of a risk are we willing to take? So pretty much, if they default on this loan, how much can we get back, you think, from this particular person? A bank don't want to lose that much. So most likely, they'll resell your collateral, and whatever they don't get, they're going to hold you responsible for it. They're not only going to hold you responsible for it, they're going to tap on the fees to where they hire their attorneys to draw up documents. So that's more fees. But the debt ratio is pretty much how much of a risk are you? And when it comes to being a risk, they only want to make sure that you probably no more than probably anywhere between 40 to 42%. So how do I calculate my debt ratio, Ms. Debra? I'm glad you asked. Basically, you're going to take your income. You're going to take your annual income, and you are going to divide by your expenses. So if I make $25,000, but my expenses are $12,000. then I'm at 48%. So you're gonna divide your expenses by your income. So that is the way that you can calculate your debt to income. I hope this is helping somebody. I hope this is helping somebody.
Absolutely, this is awesome.
Now, how do I order my credit report? Now, since COVID, a lot of you, I don't know if you've missed it, but since COVID, they said that you were able to get a free copy of your credit report weekly. That's about to expire on April the 20th. So if you're needing a copy of your credit report, you need to go ahead and do it now. And the way that you do it is by going to this site, www.annualcreditreport.com. I kind of gave you a snapshot of what it looks like so you have an idea. And basically, when you click on the icon that says order the credit report, this is how it will come up. You just then have to pretty much type in all of your personal information and pretty much click on all 3 credit reports. And if this is difficult for you, if you just not too computer savvy and you don't feel comfortable, you're more than welcome to call the 1-800 number here, and you're more than welcome to either mail a request. The request can be mailed off of the annualcreditreport.com site as well. But let me just mention this: if you're going online to get your copy of your free copy of your credit report, they will not give you a credit score. They will only provide you with the information on all 3 credit reports. But because fraud is so high, they are going to ask you a series of security questions that may or may not be pertaining to your credit report. That is why it is so important for you to get a copy of your credit report. Constantly review it. I will review it twice a year if I were you, because I want to make sure that nothing has changed. I want to make sure something on there is not inaccurate. I want to make sure that everything is being paid on time the way it should be. Now, last but not least, the last area that we are going to focus on is counting up the cost. In the Bible, God tells us to count up the cost. You should count up the cost before you go out and purchase any type of item. You should not just spend. The thing about a budget is a lot of people don't like budget because they feel like it's restricted. They feel like it doesn't work. Well, the reason why you're feeling the way as far as being that it doesn't work is the fact that you're not following it. You're not sticking to it. You have to stick to the budget. So basically, what is a budget? You're telling your money where to go. You're creating a plan to spend your money. I've made X number of dollars. So now I'm going to list all of my expenses and put a dollar amount for me to pay. And I am going to stick to that. Now, when we're talking about your budget, you make sure you include your retirement. You include your emergency fund. You include your household savings. You include your life insurance. You include these items. You include everything. Because if you do not include everything, guess what? Guess what? You're going to be off. You're going to wonder, why is my budget not adding up? Why is my budget not balancing? That is because you are not including everything. Make sure when you are preparing budget, you identify your goals. Anytime anyone comes to me and they say, Miss Debra, I need your help. Okay, what's your financial goal? What are you trying to accomplish financially? Then we're going to assess your financial resources. I'm going to take a look at all the money that you bring in. Then we're going to look at determining your expenses and defining the cost in expenses. I'm going to take a look at your last 2 months of your bank statements. And I'm going to go through everything and ask you, why are you spending your money here? Why are you spending your money here? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, people of God, the amount of money that you make. A lot of people seem to think that it matters about the amount of money that I make. No, it's not the amount of money that you make. It's about you taking what God has bestowed upon you and basically managing it and using it and taking care of it the way that He tells us to. We no longer need to be out there financially lost in the wilderness. We don't need to be drowning in the financial rivers. And we definitely don't need to be dried up in the financial deserts. We are of the chosen. We are of the chosen. And I don't know about nobody else, because I want you to make sure that you get this, because a lot of people seem to get it confused, and they think that I am worshiping money. No, I'm not worshiping money. No, I don't worship money. That's where things start to get, that's where you start to mess things up. I understand where my true resource comes, who my true source is. My source is God, but God, out the kindness of his heart, has bestowed upon me money that he tells me to utilize in a certain way, which means if I don't pay him first, I'm robbing him. You're already making the wrong choice. It's already messed up because you choose not to provide the one who gave it to you their portion. That definitely needs to be in your budget. It's about renewing your mind. I'm hoping that after tonight, if I just reach one person where their mindset about how they used to handle their money is changing to a new way of how they should be handling their money, I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied. Because it's never about the amount. In order for you to accomplish true financial wholeness, you have to be able to master all the areas, and all the areas work together for you to reach the highest benefit, for you to have the richest life. If you cannot handle the worldly, if you can't even handle the worldly riches, how God gonna give you the eternal riches? And believe me, I've had financial hardship. I was in a position where I despised it. I was embarrassed. I hated it. I was disgusted. I questioned my motherhood. I questioned the fact that if I was a good wife. But I realized it was due to the choices that I made. I got beside myself and lost focus of what and who was my God. So therefore, my decisions started changing. Don't get it confused. Don't get it twisted. Don't allow the fact of you making more money or you being in a higher position make you more than anybody else. God wants to enlarge your territory. He say, I will give you the ability to create wealth. So that means you have it. When he created you in his image. So you're already whole. But the thing is, where we get off track is when we allow sin to come in. We allow sin to separate us, and our decision-making starts to change. Our behavior starts to change. Take care. Take care of what God has given you. Remember, every dollar and every cent should have a name on it. And I'm just going to leave you with this one verse, And it says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. When your mind is renewed and it is of God, it is perfect. You are whole. You are ready. Activate your faith. Activate your faith. Because when you start to activate your faith and work in faith, watch your debt decrease. Watch your credit score raises. To God be the glory for the wonderful things that he has done and he's continuing to do on today. Pastor Scott, where are you?
I am right here.
Did we
Yeah.
have any questions, Pastor Scott?
No questions. The floor is open. I know it's 7:45. So, but if you have any questions for Miss Deborah, you can either type them in the chat box or you can actually ask them verbally. So the floor is open for any questions. This is life-changing information. So I'm glad that we've taken out the time to be able to do this. And before I make all my comments, any questions, the floor is open at this point. You can either ask them verbally or you can just type them in the chat box. We have a few minutes for questions.
And
I
let me,
have a question.
okay.
Hi, great presentation. I really enjoyed everything that you spoke about. I wanted to ask, and it just so happened that today, one of the bills that we paid asked us to pay in Bitcoin. And I don't know if you're familiar with that, and I don't even know if it's directly related to everything that you spoke about. But in the sense of, is that something that is that something that can affect us as far as like investing? I know a lot of people have made money off of it, and I know it's a big roller coaster, but is it something that we can really consider as something to use from a money perspective, kind of going forward in the future?
Well, I'll just say this, because my son, he dabbles in it. I told him to be careful because it's volatile. What you just said, you could be up one day and then you could immediately lose out the next day. It is a new foreign currency that is going forward. I'm just not comfortable with it as of yet. I am still trying to learn more about Bitcoin, but yes, I am aware I do have some people that have made money off of Bitcoin, but I'm just not comfortable with it as of yet. I am 50 years old and I'm at a point to where I am just like, I'm stable. And I'm just don't want to risk anything. And see, my son, he's only 25. So that's another level that you need to look at when you're looking at possibly when you're looking at possibly doing investments. Because when I was younger, yes, I was more riskier. I would tell them, yes, I want to be a high risk. But now, since I am 50 years old and I am focusing on possibly retiring, I am more low risk. I am more low risk. But I'm not sure of your age, but for me, I'm not comfortable with Bitcoin as of yet. But it's not to say it's not to say it's a bad thing, though. It's not to say it's a bad thing, because some people have made money, but it's just too it's not too stable for me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? Very, very good. Any other question? We have any in the chat box? Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
Hi, Deborah. This is Lisa. I want to, first of all, thank you again for always feeding the people to be financially free. But I wanted to see if you could please elaborate a little bit on when you say that, all to keep your credit cards open. Is that major credit cards? Is it department store cards? Does it really?
Okay, great question. Great question, Ms. Lisa. All credit cards. Because let me just say this. If you close your credit card, what do you think that's going to do to your utilization?
Gonna bring it down?
Yes, which means your score is going to go down.
Drop. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So even if you don't use it as much, because the thing with these credit card companies, they're monitoring, they're watching you. So if they see where you're not utilizing at all, they will even decrease your credit card limit.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. Right.
Decrease your credit card limit. So you have to be mindful. Let me just tell you this. I'm not giving you no money I cannot afford. So on my Visa card, guess how much you get? Probably,
What I can pay back?
probably a tank of gas. That's all you get. Not unless me and my family are going out of town. And then, of course, I'm going to pay it off at the end of the month. But to keep it active, I recently helped a business owner. I know she's on here. I already know she's on here. I'm not going to even say her name. But I helped a particular business owner because I've been helping her since day one with her credit and her elevation. And I said, it's time for you to get the card. And she was like, what is the card? I said, the American Express card. I said, you're on a whole nother level now. I said, because I need to see you in the 800s. And she was so scared. And she was just, and that's the thing about it. When you're going to a whole nother level, when you're doing things you've never done before, but if you trust God, I'm telling you, you will go to places you ain't never seen. You will experience things you ain't never seen. I'm telling you, you'll reap a lot of benefits. But when she applied for that American Express card, she was approved for $30,000.
Wow.
$30,000. But that's not the thing for her to get in debt of $30,000. It's just to benefit from the fact of her having that credit so her score can go extremely up. Because most likely she's going to be in the 800s probably after 60 days. Because I told her, I say, if you use it for, you can use it for whatever your needs are, and you just pay it off. She has a very successful business, so she has a lot of revenue coming in. So just use it. Just use it a little bit. You don't have to max out a card. Don't ever do that.
Right.
But just be very disciplined. You choose.
So I guess my part B to that would be, so basically, like you said, like purchase some gas.
Yes.
Pay it right. Does it matter like the length of time that I pay it back? Do I need to do the 30 days or just, can I turn right back around and pay it back? Does that matter?
When you get that bill and you see that statement date, pay it back.
Okay.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Any other questions?
Pay it off in full or pay the balance? Pay with the monthly thing. Do we pay it off in full?
Yes.
That's why she said only put on there what you can afford, right?
That's right. Because remember, the credit card companies, they make their money off of fees and interest. That's what they make their money off of. So you, as the consumer, have the power.
Control.
They trying to tempt you. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to tempt you. But see, you got so much power, you got so much dominion. It's not going to phase you when they keep raising your credit card limit. I'm going to still put my tank of gas on this card while you increasing my credit score all the way to the bank.
Wow, this is awesome. So we have time for just one more question, and then we're going to have our closing remarks. Awesome presentation.
Thank you.
We have room for one more question. Do we have any more questions? One more question.
Please don't be afraid to ask.
Okay.
Pastor Scott.
Will there be a part two? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. We're open to doing empowerment sessions, and you can actually unshare your screen, Ms. Debra, and we can kind of, but to answer your question.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's good to see everybody. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes. The saints are on here. But again, so to answer your question, absolutely. We have some other things coming up. This is a part of for the Word of Worship Church, our empowerment sessions. And so the empowerment sessions, that's our practical side to spirituality, because we believe in being balanced, well balanced. So we definitely would do this. I will just say to Ms. Debra, you exceeded expectations, and you are a confirmation of the importance of listening to the Holy Spirit. Importance of listening to the Holy Spirit. And so we thank you. We have recorded this information, And I put in the chat box if you would like a copy of the recording that you can send out or that you can rewatch. It was just a lot of good information. You can just send us a request at info.wwchurch@gmail.com. I actually typed it in the chat box. And so if y'all don't mind, yes, ma'am.
Pastor Scott, before we leave, my spirit, and I normally just do this. I want to bless two people, and let me tell you who I want to bless. And we can go back to them. I want to bless the first person that signed on to the seminar, and I want to bless the first person that asked a question. And I just need them to send me their Cash App, and I will be sending them a blessing.
And so with that being said, if they want to get in contact with you or get more information, what is your email address to your company?
My email address is HLB. I named it after my late father, who was named Henry L. Brown, the late Reverend Henry L. Brown, HLB Financial Solutions @gmail.com. If you need to reach me by cell, my number is 318-730-0125. And again, Pastor Scott, I tip my hat off to you. I thank you. Thank you. Y'all just have no idea. Let me just say this. I got to say this, Pastor Scott. You are truly a blessing to your congregation. When I talked to Pastor Scott, he really poured into my life. He really spoke some things over my life. He has no clue. And I just want you to know, Pastor Scott, that what you spoke into my life has definitely come to pass. As far as God opening those doors, God is truly elevating. And I just ask you to continue to keep me in prayer, because it does not matter how high or where God takes me. I'm still going to remain submissive and obedient and humble to the purpose and to the assignment. And that is the thing. When it comes to finances, I never want to see people in bondage. Man. It's not a good thing. It's not a great feeling. And you can take back control. He's giving you power and he's giving you dominion. And all he's doing is waiting on you. So take back control of your finances, activate your faith, and watch your debt decreases.
Amen. Oh, thank you so much. And again, we would like to thank Miss Debra. We're going to give her accolades, and we appreciate you allowing God to use you. And again, give her a round of applause. Thank you all so much. We thank God for the Word and Worship Church family. But we also thank God for some visitors that we have here. Just a few quick announcements. We do have our Living Single Empowerment Session. That's coming up April 15th at 6:30 at our church. And we have an online option or a Zoom option where the singles going to get together. We're going to have a panel. We're going to have fellowship, and we're going to have discussions. So we're really, really excited about that. Also, we want to, if you don't have a church home, if you have a church home, we definitely want you to be support your ministry. But if you don't have a church home, we would like to invite you to worship with us on Easter Sunday, which is April 17th at 8:30. And at any time you would like to get more information about the Word and Worship Church, you go to www.church.org. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube. But before we close, if there's anyone that don't know the Lord as their personal Savior, again, and everything that we've done, the information that we've received, we thank God for that. But if we're not spiritually whole, then everything that we have in our life it's not worth anything if our soul is not where it needs to be. And so when we get ready to pray, we want to pray the sinner's prayer, but also if you have a loved one or if you have a petition before God, or if you have somebody on your heart, as we begin to do the benediction, we're going to do the sinner's prayer, but we're also going to pray over your life and over anything that you have on your heart and your mind. So again, we do appreciate everyone. Let's bow our heads. Dear gracious Father, we're asking you to forgive us for all of our sins, purify our hearts and purify our minds and sanctify us holy. We openly confess our transgression in your presence, and we acknowledge that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Even as I pray, I want you to touch everyone under the sound of my voice. You know about every need, you know about every petition, you know about every challenge, and you know about every circumstances. If, Father, we declare and decree and we touch and agree that you answer the prayers according to your sovereign will, I declare and decree it done. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen, amen. God bless. We love you all. You'll have a good evening. Awesome job,
God
Miss
bless.
Debra. Bye-bye.
God bless you.